Some Sigma males have problems with other Sigmas, because their thought patterns are different. An immature Sigma man would be defined by either 1. Having little or no actual experience living in a culture with objective values. 2. Being strongly influenced by some externally expressed value system. 3. Being ignorant of his preference for logic over emotions. A mature Sigma male is aware of these preferences and does not allow emotional considerations to factor into his decision-making. He also considers the logical implications of each new idea, before coming to conclusions. First, what an immature Sigma male isn't. An immature Sigma doesn't want to be expressive. He has a deep need for privacy and solitude that prevents him from expressing his complex emotions. The ego of this type is also very fragile and sensitive to criticism and suggestions from others. He will rarely show his feelings, except on rare occasions as they are still forming in him. At times, there can be a strong emotional intensity, but this is always subtle, if it's present at all. The immature Sigma man is driven toward pleasing others, gaining their approval and deference. He does not stand up for his own personal values, as these are deeply hidden and changeable. He's uncomfortable with being a leader or needing to express his opinion about anything, for fear of offending someone or being vulnerable to the influence of outside sources. He may even have a hard time expressing what frustrates him, since this requires getting very deep into his feelings, but he usually stops just short of doing so, because of the consequences I just mentioned, being criticized or pressured. He has no trouble making decisions when they're easy, but will avoid making decisions when they're difficult. Whichever option requires responsibility, insight or flexibility, is avoided because it will expose him to criticism and pressure. He's content with letting others be the ones who must make these decisions, since they are more comfortable in doing so, a way for them to gain his obedience. He's often meek, submissive, and easily intimidated by other people. This can lead to problems at work. He'll rarely get angry because this requires too much energy. Instead, he'll try to avoid any situations that lead to conflict, and save his energy for things that interest him. Sometimes, he may feel like he is inadequate around others, but this isn't true. He just hasn't made himself psychologically present enough for others to notice. It's not that he's invisible, but rather he has yet to make himself seen. His personal needs are rarely considered, unless they're explicitly demanded by another person. This makes him uncomfortable and anxious, leading him to accommodate these requests, even if it means going against everything he believes in, or sacrificing something of great value. An immature Sigma male might be willing to compromise almost anything if there's something in it for him. Even friendships can mean more than principles, if the friendship provides this Sigma with what he feels he needs at the moment, including opportunities for advancement or self-importance. The overall impression of an immature Sigma is that he's not very solid. Therefore, he can be easily influenced by almost anyone who tries to move him in any direction other than his own. An immature Sigma man often feels conflicted about everything, because he will have little ability to apply logic to things that matter greatly, such as love, although there may occasionally be a glimpse of this, just a glimpse. He will be completely blind if someone loves him, but won't give up until it seems like it might be too late to repair the damage done. He has difficulty understanding what true love means, since his definition is usually tied into some sort of material advantage, and he won't know how to respond if he experiences this kind of love from someone. At that point, it may become apparent how painfully naive he really is. He may also have trouble responding in a relationship, because there's so much more going on inside his head than just him, for example, responsibility, duty, obligation. This causes an inward focus which makes him appear difficult and aloof when with others, but is actually an attempt to get more control over himself, something that will not be easy for him. He has the potential to do some great things, but getting these out of him is like drawing blood from a stone, taking patience and persistence. He may be tempted to cut ties with others, rather than make himself vulnerable. He likes his space, but if forced to spend too much time alone, he'll find it very difficult to focus without many interruptions, which can lead him down a path of self-loathing, which may eventually manifest itself as obsession. With healthy Sigma males, this is usually directed towards doing more and getting more, for the sake of accomplishing something meaningful. The flip side of this is that an immature Sigma spends so much time in his head that there's not enough room left for other things like friends. Although the illusion might exist that he has plenty of friends, since making new ones isn't a problem, it's keeping them that proves hard. He can take years to figure out what his purpose is, but the minute he figures that out, there's no telling how much ground he'll cover. The fact is that the Sigma personality type has a lot going on inside of them and can be very complex, sometimes even contradictory. This complexity makes it difficult for an immature Sigma to express himself in a way that others will find easy to understand, and so he doesn't. Instead, he may just give people more credit or information than they need to know. If asked about something that concerns him, he might tell you everything, except for what you really want to know. With friends, especially intelligent ones who are also introverts, this kind of behavior comes across as a way to mess with people. But this isn't really the case. It's just the Sigma being playful, and maybe even cryptic. The peculiar sense of humor associated with Sigmas can be confusing for others. He has difficulty dealing with decisions that affect his life, because they almost never seem clear-cut or simple to him. He wants more information before making a decision. He will even continue looking for answers once the decision is made, if it was made impulsively. Making up his mind about something may take years, which could have been spent on other things, if only he didn't worry so much. Finally, an immature Sigma male is usually very slow to develop emotionally, compared to his peers. Some might even call him cold or ice-like. He has difficulty understanding people, and so doesn't trust them, for a good reason. This can cause him to be a bit of an outsider, even if his intentions are completely innocent. With friends, especially those who are also introverts, he will appear to be a lot more mature than he really is. Others might have the impression that they're dealing with someone much older. This usually isn't true. It's just that his unease around others tends to show up in unusual ways, like keeping himself at arm's length, or appearing aloof and unemotional about things that an extrovert would find hurtful. The moment you meet him, you'll probably notice that he has a great deal of self-control. He won't easily give in to his emotions, and will assert himself rather than go along with other people's plans or demands. The reason for this is that, to him, it seems like there are 1,000 things going on inside his mind at once, and they're all vying for his attention, and the best way he can get them organized is by taking charge of himself as much as possible. He will want you to know that he holds himself to very high standards, and judges others with equal severity, although some might mistake this for arrogance. His biggest fear is not being taken seriously, nor do most appreciate his sense of humor, especially those who take themselves too seriously, because he tends to be very blunt, direct, and honest about his observations, which are always the truth as he sees it. No matter what others think of him, however, he holds himself in the highest esteem. The opposite problem is that an immature Sigma can be emotionally needy. He wants someone who can understand him, especially if he's feeling lonely or misunderstood. This is why he's drawn to other Sigmas, people who will better get what he's saying, although they're more rare than you might think. He'll look at most people around him and not see genuine interest there, but rather a lack of understanding for which he is grateful. There are two reasons for this. 1. People aren't used to his unconventional ways. And 2. He's used to being misunderstood. The combination of which makes him at first seem guarded, but in reality, he just wants people to show they're interested by asking questions, or waiting for him to explain when something confuses them. Remember, the Sigma male maturity is typically a gradual process.